In 2005, donor countries agreed on an accord to harmonize their practices. Since then, aid officials have complained that too little has changed or the ground. Conferences of donors in developing countries still tend to be dominated by a small group of North European governments, with the US often absent. The climate for doing business improved in Egypt more than in any other country last year, according to a global study that revealed a wave of company-oriented reforms across the Middle East. The World Bank rankings, which look at business regulations, also showed that the pace of business reforms in Eastern Europe was overtaking East Asia. 108. One of the unidentifiable objects in this study lies just outside Centaurus A, NGC 5128, an elliptical galaxy located about 12 million light-years from Earth. The other is in a globular cluster of stars found just outside NGC 4636, another elliptical galaxy located 47 million light-years from Earth in the constellation Virgo. Since Plato, philosophers have described the decision-making process as either rational or emotional, we carefully deliberate or we blink and go with our gut. But as scientists break open the mind's black box with the latest tools of neuroscience, they're discovering that this is not how the mind works. Our best decisions are a finely tuned blend of both feeling and reason, and the precise mix depends on the situation. The development of easy-to-use statistics is being taught and learned. Students can make transformations of variables, create graphs of distributions of variables, and select among statistical analyses all at the click of a button. However, even with these advancements, students sometimes find statistics to be an arduous task. First discovered in 2007, fast radio bursts continue to defy explanation. These cosmic chirps last a thousandth of a second. The characteristics of the radio pulses suggested that they came from galaxies billions of light-years away. However, new work points to a much closer origin flaring star within our own galaxy. Certain types of methodology are more suitable for some research projects than others. For example, the use of questionnaires and surveys is more suitable for quantitative research, whereas interviews and focus groups are more often used for qualitative research purposes. The coastal wetlands have environmental and economic importance. Wetlands provide natural wealth. They have important filtering capabilities. As the runoff water passes, they retain excess nutrients and some pollutants. They maintain water flow during dry periods. Thousands of people depend on groundwater for drinking. They act as natural sponges of floodwaters and contain soil erosion. They control floods and save the buildings from collapsing during heavy rains. The hardwood riparian wetlands along the Mississippi River can store 60 days of floodwater. Although introvert and extrovert personality types differ from one another on various grounds, the major difference between the two is their source of rejuvenation. While for extroverts, this may mean interaction or excursions with friends and family, the same may mean reading a book or listening to music for introverts. Avalanche, rapidly descending large mass of snow, ice, soil, rock, or mixtures of these materials, sliding or falling in response to the force of gravity. Avalanches, which are natural forms of erosion and often seasonal, are usually classified by their content such as a debris or snow avalanche. Studies funded by the soft drink industry are more likely to mask links to obesity and type 2 diabetes, according to a new report. He added that biases in industry-funded studies were not usually due to poor methodology, but due to inherent problems in their design, including poor choice of comparators and problems with the way data is analyzed and reported. We had accidentally strayed into the war zone. We had accidentally strayed into the war zone. The cafeteria features sandwiches, salads, soup, fish and chicken. The cafeteria features sandwiches, salads, soup, fish and chicken. The questionnaire asks students how they feel about services on campus. The questionnaire asks students how they feel about services on campus. The museum was closed for renovation and will be open next Thursday. The museum was closed for renovation and will be open next Thursday. A campaign has begun to try to save a species of birds from extinction. A campaign has begun to try to save a species of birds from extinction. Lots of people don't bother to go through a marriage ceremony these days. Lots of people don't bother to go through a marriage ceremony these days. We need to encourage children to take the responsibility for their choice. We need to encourage children to take the responsibility for their choice. The doctor has been accused of violating professional ethics. The doctor has been accused of violating professional ethics. You must not let your personal reactions interfere with your judgment. You must not let your personal reactions interfere with your judgment. Data processing is the series of operations that are carried out on data. Data processing is the series of operations that are carried out on data. The teacher told his students to stay calm in an emergency. The teacher told his students to stay calm in an emergency. She was in England for the publication of her new book. She was in England for the publication of her new book. Well, there's a number of ways to think about what dimensions are. I hope we all know where three dimensions are, which you can say are left, right, forward, backward, up, down. And if you think about it, we say there are three dimensions of space. And sometimes we need three coordinates to locate some objects in space. So, you can say longitude, latitude and altitude. So if there were more dimensions, you would need more coordinates. Now of course for whatever reason we are not physiologically designed to observe those dimensions, but that doesn't mean they don't exist. One way of thinking about it is, maybe the best way of thinking about it is the way that someone named Edwin Abbott did it in the late 19th century in a book called Flatland. And he said, suppose there were two-dimensional creatures living in a two-dimensional universe. They would have the same trouble conceptualizing three dimensions that we have when we try to conceptualize more than three, such as four. And so, he asked questions like, what would observers in this two-dimensional universe see, say, if a three-dimensional object like a sphere passed through the universe? And what this flatland universe would see would be a series of disks that grow in size and then decreased in size. In the same way that we can certainly think about a two-dimensional world inside a three-dimensional world, it could be that we observe three dimensions but really there are more. And if a hypersphere says a four-dimensional sphere passed through our universe, if you truly want more out of life, chances are you're not really going to fit in anywhere. I mean really fit it in. Because the majority of people settle for average, and if you don't drop down to their level, there's going to be conflict. They won't like the fact that you are committed to your dreams because it reminds them that they gave up on theirs. One of the biggest reasons most people don't follow through with their dream life is fear that they will be left out if they achieve it. This may be conscious or unconscious, but most people give up not because they can't make it, not because they are incapable, but because they are surrounded by people who have settled. People who don't want to see you succeed because that will remind them they did. They might start saying you've changed, that you become successful, not understanding that your goal was always to change, to develop, to reinvent yourself. You will hear ridiculous comments like successful people are greedy, or my favorite, there's more to life than money. Of course, there's more to life than money. A specialist who repairs leaking water pipes is called an underscore. What is the last paragraph of an essay? Which part at the end of the book can be used for further reading, an index or a bibliography? What do we call a car that uses two types of fuels?